therefore, in-text citations must correspond to the reference list, right? And in terms of remembering what should be on that reference page and in what order, the questions who, when, what, and where should guide you. So the reference page of APA Style is concerned about, first, who wrote it. Next, the date it was published. What is the title of it? And then where can I find it? So that may be the journal it's in, or the website it's on, or the publication company that produced it, right? All entries should be listed in alphabetical order. All entries should be double spaced. Use sentence case for titles of books and articles. Now, this is where APA gets a little tricky because you don't capitalize the titles of books and articles, but you do use capital letters or title case for the titles of journals, magazines, and newspapers, okay? Each new entry begins against the left margin, and subsequent lines of a particular entry must be indented, and we call that a hanging indentation, okay? And so in this next slide, I sort of show you visually what a reference page should look like. So we have references centered and in bold, and each new entry clearly starts against the left margin with subsequent lines of the same entry indented. And we'll notice, for instance, in the first entry, it's written by Anderson and Miller. Initials and surnames are used. The year is provided. Remember, we said who, when, what is the title of the piece. And notice it uses sentence case, so only the first word is capitalized, and pronoun, sorry, not pronouns, what do you call those? Proper nouns, right? Proper nouns are capitalized as well. But every other word in the title is written in the lowercase. But when we look at the journal is capitalized and italicized. So political sciences and politics is the name of the journal. And 30 is the volume number, 2 is the issue number, the page range, and then a DOI must be provided. And I'll talk about that a bit later. So this sample page was taken from Purdue student sample paper. It's a great website to go to. You can look at sample papers and sort of see what your paper should look like visually, okay? So this is how you would cite a book on your reference page. We have the author, initial, period, year, period. These punctuation marks are very important. The title of the book is italicized, but it is still mostly lowercase letters with the exception of the first word and the first word of a subtitle, okay? So that's what's reflected here. And then the publisher is provided. APA no longer requires you to identify the city that the book was published in. And in this example here, we see a book with an editor. And so the editor's name is provided in parentheses after the title of the book, but the author of the book is listed first, and then the publication company. This page shows how to cite journals on your reference page. Again, still following the same format: author, year, title, and where it can be found. In this case, in the first example, the Journal of Psychology, that's italicized, page range given. But most of the research that you do will probably be found on websites, right? And so APA requires you to identify the DOI for website, which stands for Digital Object Identifier, I think. And it's basically a permanent link to the source of the article. And when you find your sources in EBSCO or JSTOR, the DOI is usually listed on the first page of the article somewhere. So you have to look out for it. Newspapers are a little different because you provide also the month and the day of publication, but the newspaper itself is italicized. Again, the title of the article Use the sentence case, only the first word capitalized, or proper nouns if there are any. But again, notice that the author, surname first, comma, first initial or first two initials, whatever is provided, okay? And then where is it found? In the first example, that's the print copy. The second, online. This is an example of how to cite a website where the organization is the author of the website. And so the organization is the author. We have the date. Usually a date is published on these websites. You can see when something was posted. If not, sometimes you can use n.d, which says no date. There's no date given. The title is italicized and in sentence case, and then the URL information is provided. The 7th edition no longer requires retrieved from. You just put the URL after the relevant information. This is an example of a dictionary, a dictionary, an online dictionary, I should say. The word self-report is the word or term that was looked up, okay? A dictionary in this sense has no date because it may not have a static date because it may have continuous updates, okay? Now in this case, because there's no date of publication, then you can indicate the date that you looked at it. So retrieved on this date from this website. That's an example of how to cite a Bible. On your reference page, sometimes you have multiple authors, right? As we pointed out with the in-text citations. And so here, if it's just 2 authors, then we use the ampersand to join them and then continue with the rest of the citation. If it's 20 authors, then you have to list all 20 of them on your reference page. And if it's more than 20 authors, then you list, I guess, the first 18 and then skip to the last and add the ampersand. So you're going to put the ellipses in between to say there's some other names in between here. So you list the first and then the last, okay, up to 20. All right, so for more information, you can consult the publication manual. If you don't have access to that, APA Style has a style blog.